Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana-Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalaam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निधिनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यरिषतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining. Okay, so today we're going to read chapter 14. The great sage Narada visits the different homes of Lord Krishna. Vivek Prabhu, you can start, or Pranjal Prabhu.
Yes, Pranjal Prabhu can start.
Haribo. You can also read, Prabhu.
Okay, I will read, Prabhu. Prabhu, 1 minute, I'll call this coming in a minute.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, I can read now. Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Haribo. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu, like chapter name, I can read 1 second. Great sage. Like, what is the chapter name? Okay, the great sage Narada visits the different homes of Lord Krishna. Chapter 14. Okay. The great sage Narada heard that Lord Krishna had married 16,000 wives after he had killed the demon Narakasura, sometimes called Bhumasura. Narada became astonished that Lord Krishna had expanded himself into 16,000 forms and married these wives simultaneously in different palaces. Being inquisitive as to how Krishna was managing his household affairs with so many wives, Narada decided to see the pastimes and so set out to visit Krishna's different homes. When Narada arrived in Dwarka, he saw that the gardens and parks were full of various flowers of different colors and orchards that were overloaded with a variety of fruits. Beautiful birds were chirping and peacocks were delightfully crowing. There were tanks and ponds full of blue and red lotus flowers, and some of these sites were filled with varieties of lilies. The lake were full of nice swans and currents, whose voice resounded everywhere. In the city, there were as many as like 9 lakh great uh, 900,000 like 9 lakh great palaces built of first class marble with the gates and doors made of silver. The posts of the houses and palaces were bedecked with jewels such as stitched stone, sapphires, and emeralds, and the floors gave off a beautiful luster. The highways, lanes, streets, crossing, and marketplaces were all beautifully decorated. The whole city was full of residential homes, assembly houses, and temples, all of the different architectural beauty. All of these made Dwarka a glooming, glowing city. The big venues, crossing lanes, crossing crossings, lanes, streets, and also the three holes of every residential house were very clean. On both sides of very path, there were bushes, and at regular intervals um, there are regular intervals there were large trees that shaded the avenues so that the sunshine would not bother the pass, passer passer pass, sorry, what is it? Passers bay. Like what is it? Passers bay. Not bother the passers bay. In this greatly beautiful city of Dwarka, Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, had many residential quarters. The great king and princes of the world used to visit these places, palaces, just to worship him. And the architectural plans were made personally by Vishwakarma, the engineer of the demigods, and in the construction of palaces, he exhibited all of his talent and ingenuity. These residential quarters numbered more than 16,000, and different queen of Lord Krishna resided in each of them. The great sage Narada entered one of these houses and saw that the pillars were made of coral, and the ceilings were decked with jewels. The walls, as well as the arch between the pillar, gloom, gloomed from the decorations of different kinds of patterns. There were many canopies made by Vishwakarma that were decorated and made of ivory, bedecked with gold and diamonds, and jeweled lamps dissipated the darkness within the palace. There was no such there was so much incense and flavor burning that slanted fumes were coming out of the windows. The peacock sitting on the steps become illusioned by the fumes, mistaking them for clouds and began dancing jubilantly. There were many maidservants, all of whom were decorated with gold necklace, bangles, and beautiful saris. There were also many male servants who were nicely dressed in uh, tolaks and uh, turbans, turbans, and jeweled earrings, beautiful as they were. The servants were all engaged in different household duties. Narada saw that Lord Krishna was sitting with Rukmini Devi, the mistress of that particular palace, who was bearing the rod of a chamara whisk. Even though there were many thousands of maidservants who were equally beautiful and qualified, and who were of the same age, Rukmini personally was engaged in standing Lord Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, worshipped even by Narada. But still, as soon as he saw Narada enter the palace, Krishna got down immediately from Rukmini's bedstead and stood up to honor him. Lord Krishna, in the teacher of the whole world, and in teacher, come on, where is it? As soon as he saw, Lord Krishna is the teacher of the whole world, and in order to instruct everyone how to respect a saintly person like Narada Muni, Krishna bowed down, touching his helmet to the ground. Not only did Krishna bow down, but he also touched the feet of Narada, and with folded hands requested him to sit on his chair. Lord Krishna is the supreme personality worshipped, worshipped even by Narada. Where is it? Worshipped by all devotees. He is the most worshipped spiritual master of everyone. The Ganges water which emanates from his feet satisfied satisfy the three worlds. All qualified Brahmanas worship him, and therefore he is called Brahmanaya Deva. Brahmanaya means one who fully possesses the Brahminical qualifications, which are said to be as follows: truthfulness, self-control, purity, mastery of the senses, simplicity, full knowledge by practical application, and engagement in devotional service. Lord Krishna personally possesses all these qualities, and he is worshipped by persons who themselves possesses such qualities. There are thousands and millions of names of Lord Krishna. Vishnu Saranhara Nama. All of them are given to him because of his transcendental qualities. Lord Krishna is Lord Krishna and Dwarka enjoyed the pastimes of a perfect human being. When therefore he washed the feet of the sage Narada and took the water off his head, Narada did not object, knowing well that the Lord did so to teach everyone how to respect saintly persons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is originally Narayana and eternal friend of all living entities. Those worshipped the sage Narada according to Vedic regulative principles, welcoming him with sweet nectarian words. He addressed Narada as Bhagavan, or even who is self-sufficient, possessing all kinds of knowledge, renunciation, strength, fame, beauty, and similar other appearances. He particularly asked Narada, "What can I do in your service?" Narada replied, "My dear Lord, this kind of behavior by your lordship is not at all astonishing, because you are the supreme personality of Godhead and master of all species of living entities. You are the supreme friend of all living entities, but at the same time, you are supreme chastiser of the miscreants and the envious. I know that your lordship has descended on his earth for the proper maintenance of the whole universe. Your appearance, therefore, is not pursued by any other agency, your sweet, but your sweet will only. You agree to appear and disappear. It is my great fortune that I have been able to see your lotus feet today. Anyone who becomes attached to your lotus feet is elevated to the supreme position of neutrality, and is uncontaminated by the material modes of my nature. My Lord, you are ultimately Hare Krishna, Shiva Guru, Pranam, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Ultimately, Hare Krishna. Ultimately, where is it? Okay. Sorry, my dear, my lord, you are unlimited. There is no limit to your opulences. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are always busy blessing placing you within their hearts and meditating upon you. Thus conditioned souls who have no been put into the blind well of material existence can get out of his this internal captivity captivity only by accepting your lotus feet. Thus you are the only shelter of all conditional souls. My dear Lord, you have a very kindly asked what you can do for me. In answer to this, I simply request that I may not forget your lotus feet at any time. I do not care where I may be, but I pray that I may be to constantly remember your lotus feet, lotus feet. The benediction which the sage Narada asked from the Lord is the ideal prayer of all pure devotees. A pure devotee never asks for any kind of material or spiritual benediction from the Lord, but his only prayer is that he may not forget the lotus feet of the Lord in any condition of life. If devotee does not care whether he is put in heaven or hell, he is satisfied anywhere, provided he can constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya also taught the same process of praying in his Shishtashtaka, in which he clearly stated that all he wanted was devotion service, birth after birth. A pure devotee does not even want to stop the repetition of birth and death. To be a pure devotee, it does not matter whether he has to take birth again in the various species of life. His only ambition is that he may not forget the lotus feet of the Lord in any condition of life. After departing from the palace of Rukmini, Narada ji wanted to see the activities of the Lord of the Lord Krishna's eternal potency, Yogamaya. Thus he entered the palace of another queen. Another queen. This he saw the Lord Krishna engaged in playing chess along with his dear wife and Uddhava. The Lord immediately got up from his seat and invited Narada Muni to sit on his personal seat. The Lord again worshipped him with as much paraphernalia for recitation as he had in the palace of Rukmini. After worshipping him properly, Lord Krishna acted as if he did not know what had happened in the palace of Rukmini. He therefore told Narada, "My dear sage, when your holiness comes here, you are full in yourself. Although we are householders and are always in need, you don't require anyone's help because you are self-satisfied. Under the circumstances, what reciprocation can we offer you, and what can we possibly give you? So yet, since your holiness is a Brahmana, it is our duty to offer you something as far as possible. Therefore, I beg your pleasure to order me. What can I do for you?" Naradaji knew everything about the pastimes of the Lord. So, without any further discussion, he simply left the palace silently. In great astonishment over the Lord's activities, he then entered another palace. This time, Naradaji saw that Lord Krishna was engaged as an affectionate father petting his small children. There, he entered another palace and saw Lord Krishna preparing to take his bath. In these places, then Narada entered each and every one of the 16,000 residential palaces of the queens of Lord Krishna, and in such of them he found Krishna engaged in different ways. In one palace, he found Krishna engaged in offering obligations to the sacrificial fire and performing the ritualistic ceremonies of the Vedas as enjoyed for householders. In another palace, Krishna was found performing the Pancha Yajna sacrifice, which is compulsory for a householder. This yajna is also known as the Pancha Sunya. Knowingly or unknowingly, anyone specifically the householders, he is committing five kinds of sinful activities when we receive water from a water pitcher. We kill many gems that are in it. Similarly, when we use a grinding machine or take foodstuff, we kill many germs. When sweeping a floor or initiating a fire, we kill many germs. And when we uh, walk on the street, we kill many ant and other insects consciously or unconsciously. In all our different activities, we are killing the. Therefore, it is incumbent upon every householders to perform the panchayasuna, a sacrifice to rid himself of the reactions of such sinful activities. In one palace, Lord Krishna was found engaged in feeding brahmanas after performing ritualistic yajnas. In another palace, Narada found Krishna engaged in silently chanting the Gayatri mantra. In a third, he found him practicing fighting with a sword and shield. In some places, Lord Krishna was found riding on horses or elephants or chariots and wandering hither and thither. Elsewhere, he was found laying down on his bedstead, taking rest, and somewhere else he was found sitting in his chair, being praised by the prayers of his different devotees. In some of the palaces, he was found consulting with ministers like Uddhava and others on important matters of business. In one palace, he was found surrounded by many young society girls enjoying in a swimming pool. In another palace, he was found engaged in giving well decorated cows in charity to the Brahmanas. And in another palace, he was found hearing the narrations of the Puranas or histories, such as the Mahabharata, which was supplementary literature for disseminating Vedic knowledge to common people by narrating important incidents in the history of the universe. Somewhere, Lord Krishna was found enjoying the company of a particular wife by exchanging joking words with her. Somewhere else, he was found engaged along with his wife in religious ritualistic functions, since it is necessary for householders to increase their financial assets for various since it is necessary for householders to increase their financial assets for various expenditures. Krishna was found somewhere engaged in matters of economic development, somewhere else he was found enjoying family life according to the regulative principles of the Shastras. In one palace, he was found sitting in of meditation as if he were concentrating his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind this material universe. Meditation has recommended in authorized scriptures. He meant for concentrating one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Lord Krishna is himself the original Vishnu, but because he played the part of the human being, he taught us definitely by his personal behavior what is meant by meditation. Somewhere Lord Krishna was found satisfying elderly superiors by supplying them things which they needed. Somewhere else, Naradaji found that Lord Krishna was engaged in discussing topics of fighting, and somewhere else in making peace with enemies. Somewhere Lord Krishna was found discussing the ultimate auspicious activity for the entire human society with his elder brother Lord Balarama. Narada saw Lord Krishna engaged in getting his sons and daughters married with subtle brides and bridegrooms in due course of time, and the marriage ceremony were being performed with great pomp. In one palace, he was found bidding farewell to his daughters, and in another, he was found receiving a daughter-in-law. People throughout the whole city were astonished to see such pomp and ceremonies. Somewhere the Lord, somewhere the Lord was seen engaged in performing different types of sacrifices to satisfy the demigods, who are only his qualitative expansions. Somewhere he was seen engaged in public welfare activities, establishing deep wells for water supply, rest houses and gardens for unknown guests, and get monsters, great, sorry, and great monsters. and temples for saintly persons. These are some of the duties enjoyed in the Vedas for householders for fulfillment of their material desires. Somewhere Krishna was found as a Kshatriya king engaged in hunting animals in the forest and riding on very beautiful Sindhi horses. According to the Vedic regulations, the Kshatriyas were allowed to kill prescribed animals on certain occasions, neither to maintain peace in the forest or to offer the animals in the sacrificial fire. Kshatriyas are allowed to practice this killing art because they have to kill their enemies mercilessly to maintain peace in society. In one situation, the great sage Narada saw Lord Krishna, the supreme person of Godhead and master of mystic powers, acting as a spy by changing his usual dress in order to understand the motives of different citizens in the city and within the palaces. Saint Narada so all these activities of the Lord, who is the super soul of all living entities, but who played the role of an ordinary human being in order to manifest the activities of his eternal potency. He was smilingly within himself and began to address the Lord as follows: "My dear Lord, uh, wait a minute, Prabhu. He was smilingly within himself and began to address the Lord as follows: My dear Lord, of all mystic powers, object of the meditation of great mystics, the extent of your mystic power is certainly inconceivable, even to mystics like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. But you, but by your mercy, because of my being always engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet, your has very relieved to me the actions of your eternal plenty. My dear Lord, you are worshipable by all, and demigods and predominating deities of all 14 planetary systems are completely aware of your transcendental fame. You now please give me your blessing so that I may be able to travel all over the universe singing that glories of your transcendental qualities. The Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Krishna, replied to Narada as follows: my dear Narada, O sage among the demigods who had known the supreme instructor and perfect follower of all religious principles, as well as the supreme enforcer of such principles. I am therefore personally executing such religious principles in order to teach the whole world how to act. My dear son, it is my desire that you not be bewildered by such demonstrations of my eternal energy. Jaikan Prabhu, you can read.
Yes, Prabhu. The
The,
Supreme Personality of Godhead was engaged in his so-called household affairs in order to teach people how one can sanctify one's household life, although he may be attached to the imprisonment of material existence. Actually, one is obliged to continue the term of material existence because of household life. But the Lord, being very kind upon householders, demonstrated the path of sanctifying ordinary household life. Because Krishna is the center of all activities, a Krishna conscious householder's life is transcendental to Vedic injunctions and is automatically sanctified. Thus, Narad saw one single Krishna living in 16,000 palaces by his plenary expansions. Due to his inconceivable energy, he was visible in each and every individual queen's palace. Lord Krishna has unlimited power, and Narad's astonishment was boundless upon observing again and again the demonstration of Lord Krishna's internal energy. Lord Krishna behaved by his personal example as if he were very much attached to the four principles of civilized life, namely religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These four principles of material existence are necessary for the spiritual advancement of human society. And although Lord Krishna had no need to do so, he exhibited his household activities so that people may follow in his footsteps for their own interest. Lord Krishna satisfied the sage Narad in every way. Narad was very much pleased by seeing the Lord's activities in Dwarka, and thus he departed. In narrating the activities of Lord Krishna in Dwarka, Sukhdev Goswami explained to King Parikshit how Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descends on this material universe by the agency of his internal potency and personally exhibits the principles which, if followed, can lead one to achieve the ultimate goal of life. All the queens of Dwarka, more than 16,000 in number, engaged their feminine attractive features in the transcendental service of the Lord by smiling and serving. And the Lord was pleased to behave with them exactly as a perfect husband enjoying household life. One should know definitely that such pastimes cannot be performed by anyone but Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna is the original cause of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation. Anyone who attentively hears the narrations of the Lord's pastimes in Dwarka or supports a preacher of the Krishna consciousness movement will certainly find it very easy to traverse the path of liberation and taste the nectar of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and thus he will be engaged in his devotional service. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 14th chapter of Krishna. The great sage Narad visits the different homes of Lord Krishna.
Ribo, thank you so much.
Prabhu.
Okay, we can start this next chapter
And
also.
yeah, so I had a question regarding something in the previous chapter. So it said that there were four principles for like material existence and how they're essential. I didn't understand why he said that, like what that meant actually.
In the
No,
bit, I remember. Let's see.
here, a bit below. So if you move your a bit, yeah, here. These four principles of material existence are necessary for the spiritual advancement of human society, and although Lord Krishna had no need to do so, he exhibited his household activities so people may. I understand the like following in his footsteps, but what are these four? Why is you know sense gratification part of being like the four principles of civilized life?
Yes, Prabhu. Let's see what Prabhupada says. See, it's from this verse. See, those are the four principles of religiosity. No, what is it say? Your
There's
realm of the four principles: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation.
mhm.
Yeah, these are the karma. What are they? Karma, artha, karma.
But yeah, moksha jnana, I think.
Yeah. Oh, wait, there is not much in this.
Okay. Yeah, I think something I'd like to learn more about because I mean I've heard this before, but I don't remember exactly in which.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, here they said the three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. The three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Conditional material existence is based on sense gratification, and if someone has the good fortune to get a good wife, he is helped by the wife in all respects. If one is disturbed in his conditional life, he becomes more and more entangled. Yeah, here is not much about that after that. Let's see. According to Vedic thought, there are four elevating principles, namely religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Persons who are simply interested in this material enjoyment make plans to execute prescribed duties. Yeah, these are like the perfection of the material prescribed duties.
I see. Okay. Yeah. But so this is only in the context of when one is following prescribed duties.
They are interested in the three elevating processes of religious rituals, economic, like, yeah, big sacrifices, economic elevation, gathering a lot of wealth, and sense enjoyment. By developing their economic condition, they can enjoy material life. Materialistic persons, therefore, are interested in those. Yeah, these are the things that elevate material life
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
processes, which are called tribe. Wait, how is this said?
Trivargika.
Yeah, yeah, three elevating processes, trivargika. Such materialistic persons are never attracted by the Supreme Person of Godhead.
Hmm. So in a way, so then in this case, if Krishna was engaging in a way to yes, in a way that like a regular householder would, but following the uplifting, three principles, then but then he himself wasn't engaging in devotional service, right? If I understand correctly, because these principles are limited to what makes material life more better and opulent, right?
Yes, bro, but he's like acting like a normal householder.
Okay, yeah, yeah. As opposed to what maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do, where he was also acting as a bhakt and a devotee, and so Lord Krishna wasn't doing that in that circumstance we discussed.
No, Prabhu. Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood was different. He was a servant.
Yeah.
Like Krishna is showing that like householders, like a human being, how to behave
Yeah.
and how to lead their life in household like that, showing the like example for householders because they are so much so much like what proud and so much puffed up by their wealth. So they are so much puffed up and they will not remember properly the supreme personality godhead. So like Krishna is showing that how to behave in human like in householders in household life.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Okay, Haribo.
Mhm.
You can start, Prabhu.
Yes. Um, should I read?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, those who aspire for, ah,
Oh, I was sharing the wrong thing, I think. Is it now there?
from the Vedic mantras, we learn that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do. Na tasya karyam karnam cha vidyate. If the Supreme Lord has nothing to do, then how can he speak of the activities of the Supreme Lord? Then how can we speak of the activities of the Supreme Lord? From the previous chapter, it is clear that no one can act in the way that Lord Krishna does. We should clearly note this fact. The activities of the Lord should be followed, but they cannot be imitated. For example, Krishna's ideal life as a householder can be followed, but if one wants to imitate Krishna by expanding into many forms, that is not possible. We should always remember, therefore, that Lord Krishna, although playing the part of a human being, nevertheless simultaneously maintains the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can follow Lord Krishna as dealing with his wives as an ordinary human being, whereas dealing with more than 16,000 wives at one time cannot be imitated. The conclusion is that to become ideal householders, we should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna as he displayed his daily activities, but we cannot imitate him at any stage of our life. Lord Krishna used to lie down with his 16,000 wives, but also he would rise up from bed very early in the morning, 3 hours before sunrise. By nature's arrangement, the crowing of the cocks warns of the Brahma Muhurta hour. There is no need of alarm clocks. As soon as the cocks crow early in the morning, it is to be understood that it is time to rise from bed. Hearing that sound, Krishna would get up from bed, but his rising early was not very much to the liking of his wives. The wives of Krishna were so much attracted to him that they would lie in bed embracing him. But as soon as the cocks crowed, Krishna's wives would be very sorry and would immediately condemn the crowing. In the garden within the compound of each palace, there were parijata flowers. Parijata flower is not an artificial flower. We remember that Krishna brought the parijata trees from heaven and implanted them in all his palaces. Early in the morning, a mild breeze would carry the aroma of the parijata flower, and Krishna would smell it just after rising from bed. Due to this aroma, the honeybees would begin their humming vibration, and the birds would also begin their sweet chirping sounds. All together, it would sound like the singing of professional chanters engaged in offering prayers to Krishna. Although Srimati Rukmini Devi, the first queen of Lord Krishna, knew that Brahma Muhurta is the most auspicious time in the entire day, she would feel disgusted at the appearance of Brahma Muhurta because she was not very happy to have Krishna leave her side in bed. Despite Srimati Rukmini Devi's disgust, Lord Krishna would immediately get up from bed exactly on the appearance of Brahma Muhurta. An ideal householder should learn from the behavior of Lord Krishna how to rise early in the morning, however comfortably he may be lying in bed embraced by his wife. After rising from bed, Lord Krishna would wash his mouth, hands, and feet and would immediately sit down and meditate on himself. This does not mean, however, that we should sit down and meditate on ourselves. We have to meditate upon Krishna, Radha Krishna. That is real meditation. Krishna is Krishna himself, and therefore he was teaching us that Brahma Muhurta should be utilized for meditation on Radha Krishna. By doing so, Krishna would feel very much satisfied. And similarly, we will also feel transcendently pleased and satisfied if we utilize the Brahma Muhurta period to meditate on Radha and Krishna, and if we think of how Sri Rukmani Devi and Krishna acted as ideal householders to teach the whole human society to rise early in the morning and immediately engage in Krishna consciousness. There's no difference between meditating on the eternal forms of Radha Krishna and chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. As for Krishna's meditation, he had no alternative but to meditate on himself. The object of meditation is Brahman, Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna himself is all three. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan, the localized Paramatma in his planetary parcel expansion, and the all pervading Brahman effulgence is the personal rays of his transcendental body. Therefore, Krishna is always one, and for him, there is no differentiation. That is the difference between an ordinary living being and Krishna. For an ordinary living being, there are many distinctions. An ordinary living being is different from his body, and he's different from other species of living entities. A human being is different from other human beings and different from the animals. Even in his own body, there are different bodily limbs. We have our hands and legs, but our hands are different from our legs. A hand cannot act like the leg, nor can the leg act like the hand. Eyes cannot hear like the ears, and the ears see like the eyes, nor can the ears see like the eyes. All these differences are technically called Svajtya Vijtya. Haribol, Prabhu, if someone wants to continue.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Oh, Shivranj Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
प्रणाम जय श्री प्रभुपाद अंतरिक्ष प्रभु हरे कृष्ण प्रणाम जय श्री
Jai
प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, sure.
Prabhu.
The bodily limitation whereby one part of the body cannot act as another part is totally absent in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no difference between his body and himself. He is completely spiritual and therefore there is no material difference between his body and his soul. Similarly, he is non-different from his millions of incarnations and plenary expansions. Baladeva is the first expansion of Krishna, and from Baladeva expands Sankarshana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. From Sankarshana, there is again an expansion of Narayana, and from Narayana, there is a second quadruple expansion of Sankarshana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Similarly, there are innumerable expansions of Krishna, but all of them are one. Krishna has many incarnations, such as Lord Narsimha, Lord Boar, Lord Fish, and Lord Tortoise. But there is no difference between Krishna's original two-handed form, like that of a human being, and these incarnations of gigantic animal forms. Nor there is any difference between the action of one part of his body than that of another. His hands can act as his legs, his eyes can act as his ears, or his nose can act as his another part of his body. Krishna's smelling and eating and hearing are all body are all the same. We limited living entities have to use a particular part of our body for a particular purpose, but there is no such distinction for Krishna. In Brahma Samhita, it is Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritti. He can perform the activities of one limb with any other limb. So, by analytical study of Krishna and his person, it is concluded that he is the complete whole. When he meditates, therefore, he meditates on himself. The self meditation by ordinary men designed in Sanskrit, so hum, is simply an imitation. Krishna may meditate on himself, he is the complete whole, but we cannot imitate him and meditate on ourselves. Our body is a designation, Krishna's body is not a designation. Krishna's body is also Krishna. There is no existence of anything foreign in Krishna. Whatever there is in Krishna is also Krishna. He is therefore the supreme indestructible complete existence or the supreme truth. Krishna's existence is not relative existence. Everything else but Krishna is a relative truth. But Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Krishna does not depend on anything but himself for his existence. Our existence, however, is relative. For example, only when there is the light of the sun, the moon, or electricity, we are able to see. Our seeing, therefore, is relative, and the light of the sun and moon, electricity is also relative. They are called illuminating only because we see them such. Dependence and relativity do not exist in Krishna. His activities are not dependent on anyone else's appreciation, nor does he depend on anyone else's help. He is beyond the existence of limited time and space. Because he is transcendental to time and space, he cannot be covered by the illusion of Maya, whose activities are limited. In the Vedic literature, we find the Supreme Personality of Godhead has multiple potencies. Since such all potencies are emanations from him, there is no difference between him and his potencies. Certain philosophers say certain philosophers say, however, that when Krishna comes, he accepts a material body. But even if it is accepted that when he comes to the material world, he accepts a material body, it should be concluded also that because the material energy is not different from him, this body does not act materially. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, that he appears by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. Krishna is the supreme Brahmin because he is the cause of creation, the cause of maintenance, and the cause of dissolution. Lord Brahma, uh, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are different expansions of these material qualities. All these material qualities can act upon the conditioned souls, but there is no such action and reaction upon Krishna. These qualities are simultaneously one and different from him. Krishna himself is simply Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, and because of his inconceivable greatness, he is called the Supreme Brahman. His meditation on Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagwan is on himself only and not on anything else beyond himself. This meditation cannot be imitated by the ordinary living entity. After his meditation, the Lord would regularly bath early in the morning with clear, sanctified water. Then he would change into fresh clothing, cover himself with a wrapper, and then engage himself into his daily religious functions. Out of his many religious duties, the first was to offer oblations into the sacrificial fire and silently chant the Gayatri mantra. Lord Krishna, as the ideal householder, executed all the religious functions of a householder without any deviation. When the sunrise became visible, the Lord would offer specific prayers to the sun god. The sun god and other demigods mentioned in the Vedic scriptures are described as different limbs of the body of Krishna, and it is the duty of a householder to offer respects to the demigods and great sages as well as the forefathers. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has no specific duty to perform in this world, and yet he acts just like an ordinary man living an ideal life within this material world. In accordance with the Vedic ritualistic principles, the Lord would offer respects to the demigods. The regulative principles by which the demigods and the forefathers are worshipped uh, is called tarpana, which means pleasing. Once forefathers might have to take a body on another planet, but by performance of this tarpana system, they become very happy wherever they may be. It is the duty of the householder to make his family members happy, and by following this tarpana system, he can make his forefathers happy also. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, what is the chapter number?
15.
15.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Will you
You can
read,
continue.
Prabhu?
You can continue, Prabhu.
Okay. As the perfect exemplary householder, Lord Shri Krishna followed this Tarpana system and offered respectful obeisances to the elderly superior members of his family. His next duty was to give 2 cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Lord Krishna used to give as many as 13,084 cows, each of them decorated with a silken cover and a pearl necklace. Their horns were covered with gold plating and their hooves were silver plated. All of them were full of milk due to having their firstborn calves with them, and they were very tame and peaceful. When the cows were given in charity to the Brahmanas, the Brahmanas were also given nice silken garments, and each was given a deer skin and sufficient quantity of sesame grains. The Lord is generally known as Gobrahmanahitayacha, which means that his first duty is to see the welfare of the cows and the Brahmanas. Thus, he used to give cows in charity to Brahmanas with opulent decorations and paraphernalia. Then, wishing for the welfare of all living entities, he would touch auspicious articles such as milk, fire, honey, ghee, gold, jewels, and fire. Although the body is by nature very beautiful due to the perfect figure of his transcendental body, still he would dress himself in yellow colored garments and put on his necklace of Kaustuba jewels. He would wear flower garlands, smear his body with the help of sandalwood, and decorate himself with other cosmetics and ornaments. It is said that the ornaments themselves became beautiful upon being placed on the transcendental body of the Lord. After decorating himself in this way, the Lord would then look at the marble statues of the cow and calf and visit the temples of gods or demigods like Shiva. There were many Brahmanas who would come daily to see the Supreme Lord before taking their breakfast. They were anxious to see him and he welcomed them. His next duty was to please all kinds of men belonging to the different castes, both in the city and within the palace compound. He made them happy by fulfilling their different desires, and when the Lord saw them happy, he also became very much pleased. The flower garlands, betel nuts, sandalwood pulp, and other fragrant cosmetic articles which were offered to the Lord would be distributed by him first to Brahmanas and elderly members of the family, then to the queens, then to the ministers, and if there were still some, if there were still some balance, he would utilize it for his own personal use. By the time the Lord finished all these daily duties and activities, his charioteer Daruka would come with his wonderful chariot to stand before the Lord with folded hands, imitating the imita- im- intimating that the chariot was ready and the Lord would come out of the palace to travel. Then the Lord was accompanied by Uddhava and Satyaki, would ride on the chariot just as the sun god rises on his chariot in the morning, appearing with his blazing rays on the surface of the world. When the Lord was about to leave his palaces, all the queens would look at him with feminine gestures. The Lord would respond to their greetings with smile, attracting their hearts so much that they would feel intense separation from the Lord. Yes, Prabhu. Who will read now?
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Pranjal. Prabhu. I can also read, but let's see how many pages we have. Oh, there's so many. Then the Lord would go to the assemble house known as Sudharma. It may be remembered that the Sudharma assemble house was taken away from the heavenly planet and was re-established in the city of Dvaraka. The specific significance of the assemble house was that anyone who entered it would be freed from the six kinds of material pangs, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. These are the webs of material existence, and as long as one remained in the assemble house of Sudharma, he would not be infected by these six material webs. The Lord would say goodbye in all the 16,000 palaces, and again he would become one and enter the Sudharma assemble house in procession with other members of the Yadu dynasty. After entering the assembled house, he used to sit on the exalted royal throne and would be seen to emanate glaring rays of transcendental effulgence. In the midst of all the great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna resembled the full moon in the sky, surrounded by multi-luminaries. In the assembled house there were professional jokers, dancers, musicians, and ballet girls, and as soon as the Lord sat on his throne, they would begin their respective functions in order to please the Lord and put him in a happy mood. First of all, the jokers would talk in such a way that the Lord and his associates would enjoy their humor, which would refresh the morning mood. The dramatic actors would then play their parts and the dancing ballet girls would separately display their artistic movements. All these functions would be accompanied by the beating of mridanga drums and the sounds of the veena and flutes and bells, followed by the sounds of the pakvaj, another type of drum. Along with these musical vibrations, the auspicious sound of the conch shell would be added. The professional singers, called sutas and magadas, would sing and others would perform their dancing art. In this way, as devotees, they would offer their respectful prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes the learned Brahmanas present in the assembly would chant the Vedic hymns and explain them to the audience to their best knowledge, and sometimes some of them would recite old historical accounts of the activities of prominent kings. The Lord, accompanied by his associates, would be very much pleased to hear them. Once upon a time, a person arrived at the gateway of the assemble house, who was unknown to all the members of the assemble, and with the permission of Lord Krishna, he was admitted into the assemble by the doorkeeper. The doorkeeper was ordered to present him before the Lord, and the man appeared and offered his respectful obeisances unto the Lord with folded hands. It had happened that when King Jarasandha conquered all other kingdoms, many kings did not bow their heads before Jarasandha, and as a result of this, all of them, numbering 20,000, were arrested and made prisoners. The man who was brought before Lord Krishna by the doorkeeper was a representative messenger from all these imprisoned kings. Being duly presented before the Lord, the man began to explain the actual situation as follows. My dear Lord, you are the eternal form of transcendental bliss and knowledge. As such, you are beyond the reach of the mental speculation or vocal description of any materialistic man within this world. A slight portion of your glories can be known by persons who are fully surrendered unto your lotus feet, and by your grace, only such persons become freed from all material anxieties. My dear Lord, I am not one of these surrendered souls. I am still within the duality and illusion of this material existence. I have therefore come to take shelter of your lotus feet, for I am afraid of the cycle of birth and death. My dear Lord, I think that there are many living entities like me who are eternally entangled in fruitive activities and their results and reactions. They are never inclined to follow your instructions by performance of devotional service, although it is pleasing to the heart and most auspicious for one's existence. On the contrary, they are against the path of Krishna conscious life, and they are wandering within the three worlds impelled by the illusory energy of material existence. My dear Lord, who can estimate your mercy and your powerful activities? You are present always in the insurmountable force of eternal time, engaged in baffling the indefatigable desires of the materialist, who are thus repeatedly becoming confused and frustrated. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you in your form of eternal time. My dear Lord, you are the proprietor of all three worlds, and you have incarnated yourself along with your plenary expansion, Lord Balaram. It is said that your appearance in this incarnation is for the purpose of protecting the faithful and destroying the miscreants. Under the circumstances, how it is possible that miscreants like Jarasandha can put us into such deplorable conditions of life against your authority? We are puzzled at the situation and cannot understand how it is possible. It may be that Jarasandha has been deputed to give us such trouble because of our past misdeeds, but we have heard from revealed scriptures that anyone who surrenders unto your lotus feet immediately becomes immune to the reactions of sinful life. I have therefore been deputed by all the imprisoned kings to wholeheartedly offer ourselves unto your shelter, and we hope that your lordship will give us full protection. We have now come to the real conclusion of our lives. Our kingly positions are nothing but the reward of our past pious activities, just as our suffering imprisonment by Jarasandha is the result of our past impious activities. We realize now that the resultant reactions of both pious and impious activities are temporary, and that we can never be happy in this conditioned life. This material body is awarded to us by the modes of material nature, and on account of this we are full of anxieties. The material condition of life simply involves bearing the burden of this dead body. As a result of fruitive activities, we have thus been subjected to being beasts of burden to these bodies, and being forced by conditional life, we have given up the pleasing life of Krishna consciousness. Now we realize that we are the most foolish persons. We have been entangled in the network of material reaction due to our ignorance. We have therefore come to the shelter of your lotus feet, which can immediately eradicate all the results of fruitive action, and thus free us from the contamination of material pains and pleasures. Dear Lord, because we have now surrendered so because we are now surrendered souls at your lotus feet, you can give us relief from the entrapment of fruitive action made possible by the form of Jarasandha. Dear Lord, it is known to you that Jarasandha possesses the power of 10,000 elephants, and with this power he has imprisoned us, just as a lion hypnotizes a flock of sheep. My dear Lord, you have already fought with Jarasandha 18 times consecutively, out of which you have defeated him 17 times by surpassing his extraordinary powerful position. But in your 18th fight, you exhibited your human behavior, and thus it appeared that you were defeated. My dear Lord, we know very well that Jarasandha cannot defeat you at any time, because your power, strength, resources, and authority are all unlimited. No one can equal you or surpass you. The appearance of defeat by Jarasandha in the 18th engagement is nothing but an exhibition of human behavior. Unfortunately, foolish Jarasandha could not understand your tricks, and he has since then become puffed up over his material power and prestige. Specifically, he has arrested us and imprisoned us, knowing fully that as your devotees we are subordinate to your sovereignty. Now I have explained our awful position, and your lordship can consider and do whatever you like. As the messenger and representative of all those imprisoned kings, I have submitted my words before your lordship and presented our prayers to you. All the kings are very anxious to see you so that they can all personally surrender at your lotus feet. My dear Lord, be merciful upon me that be merciful upon them and act for their good fortune. At very moment At the very moment the messenger of the imprisoned kings was presenting his appeal before the Lord, the great sage Narada also arrived. Because he was a great saint, his hair was dazzling like gold, and when he entered the assembled house, it appeared that the sun god was personally present in the midst of the assembly. Lord Krishna is the worshipable master of even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Yet as soon as he saw that the sage Narada had arrived, he immediately stood up along with his ministers and secretaries to receive the great sage and offer his respectful obeisances by bowing his head. The great sage Narada took a comfortable seat, and Lord Krishna worshipped him with all paraphernalia as required for the regular reception of a saintly person. While he was trying to satisfy Naradaji, Lord Krishna spoke the following words in his sweet and natural voice. My dear great sage, among the demigods, I think that now everything is well within the three worlds. You are perfectly eligible to travel everywhere in space in the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems of this universe. Unfortunately, when we meet you, we can very easily take. No, Fortunately, when we meet you, we can very easily take information from your holiness of all the news of the three worlds. Within this cosmic manifestation of the Supreme Lord, there is nothing concealed from your knowledge. You know everything, and so I wish to question you. Are the Pandavas doing well? And what is the present plan of the King Yudhishthira? Will you kindly let me know what they want to do at the present? The great sage Narada spoke as follows. My dear Lord, you have spoken about the cosmic manifestation created by the Supreme Lord, but I know that you are the all-pervading creator. Your energies are so extensive and inconceivable that even powerful personalities like Brahma, the Lord of this particular universe, cannot measure your inconceivable power. My dear Lord, you are present as the Supersoul in everyone's heart by your inconceivable potency, exactly like the fire which is present in everyone but which no one can see directly. In conditioned life, every living entity is within the jurisdiction of the three modes of material nature. As such, they are unable to see your presence everywhere with their material eyes. By your grace, however, I have seen many times the action of your inconceivable potency, and therefore, when you ask me for news of the Pandavas, which is not at all unknown to you, I am not surprised at your inquiry. My dear Lord, by your inconceivable potencies, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and again dissolve it. It is by dint of your inconceivable potency only that this material world, although a shadow representation of the spiritual world, appears to be factual. No one can understand what you plan to do in the future. Your transcendental position is always inconceivable to everyone. As far as I am concerned, I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. In the bodily concept of knowledge, everyone is driven by the material desires, and thus everyone develops new material bodies one after another in the cycle of birth and death. Being absorbed in such a concept of existence, one does not know how to get out of this encagement of the material body. Out of your causeless mercy, my Lord, you descend to exhibit your different transcendental pastimes, which are illuminating and full of glory. Therefore, I have no alternative but to offer my respectful obeisances unto you, my dear Lord. You are the supreme Parabrahman, and your pastimes are, as an ordinary human, are another tactile resource, exactly like a play on the stage in which the actor plays parts different from his own identity. You have inquired about your cousins, the Pandavas, in the role of their well-wisher, and therefore I shall let you know about their intentions. Now please hear me. I first of all may inform you that King Yudhishthira has all material opulences which are possible to achieve in the highest planetary system Brahmaloka. He has no material opulence for which to aspire, and yet he wants to perform Raja Suya sacrifice only to get your association and please you. Narada informed Lord Krishna, King Yudhishthira is so opulent that he has attained all the opulences of Brahmaloka, even on this earthly planet. He is fully satisfied and he does not need anything more. He is full in everything. But now he wants to worship you in order to achieve your causeless mercy, and I beg to request you to fulfill his desires. My dear Lord, in this great sacrificial My dear Lord, in these great sacrificial performances by King Yudhishthira, there will be an assemble of all the demigods and all the famous kings of the world. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Brahman, person of Godhead, one who engages himself in your devotional service by the prescribed methods of hearing, chanting, and remembering certainly becomes purified from the contamination of the modes of material nature, and what to speak of those who have opportunity to see you and touch you directly. My dear Lord, you are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame have spread all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water which washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary systems as Mandakini, in the lower planetary systems as Bhogavati, and in these earthly planetary systems as the Ganga. This sacred transcendental water flows through the entire universe, purifying wherever it flows. Just before the great sage Narada arrived in the Shuddharma assembled house of Dvaraka, Lord Krishna and his ministers and secretaries had been considered how to attack the kingdom of Jarasandha. Oh, they had been considering. Lord Krishna and his ministers. Oh, it's ending. No. Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu, Tandat Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Seven Prabhu,
Hare
Devotional
Krishna, Manu
Attachment Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shila Prabhupada.
SpaceX Prabhu, what is this? Some Elon Musk? He became a devotee? Vivek Prabhu ki jai, Punjab Prabhu ki jai, Shivran Prabhu ki jai.
Krishna Prabhu, please come humble obeisance for good Sri Prabhupada.
SpaceX Prabhu, okay, so you
Actually,
became
my
a...
name means my name in Hindi translates to space, so I have kept it as Bhakta Space.
Wait, your name translates to space.
Yes.
Kind of like the Garba, the whole material universe, right?
Kinda,
Or,
yeah.
oh wow, yeah, it's very nice actually.
Like I mostly read books of Srila Prabhupada in Hindi, so I found my name many a times in his books.
Wow, and you figured out it meant space through his books. Prabhupada, he knows everything.
Yeah, he's the representative of Krishna.
Evil. This is the fact number one. So should I continue reading, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so just before the great sage Narada arrived at the in Sudhama's assembly house of Dwarka, Lord Krishna and his ministers and secretaries have been considering how to attack the kingdom of Jarasandha because they were seriously considering this subject. Narada's proposal to Lord Krishna to go to Hastinapur for Maharaja this year's great Rajasura sacrifice did not appeal to them. Lord Krishna could understand the intentions of his associates because he is the ruler of even the Lord Brahma. Therefore, in order to pacify them, he smilingly said to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, you are always my well-wishing, confidential friend. Therefore, I wish to see everything through you, because I believe your counsel is always right. I believe that you understand the whole situation perfectly. Therefore, I'm asking your opinion. What should I do? I have faith in you, and therefore I shall do whatever you advise." It is known to Uddhava that although Lord Krishna was acting like an ordinary man, he knew everything past, present, and future. However, because the Lord was trying to consult with him, Uddhava, in order to render service to the Lord, began to speak. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second volume, 15th chapter of Krishna, Lord Krishna's daily activities. Jai, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Wow. Very, very nice.
So will he go?
What's that, bro?
Will Krishna go there, or what will happen?
That's a number one fact. He's going to be going. But before he goes, he has to convince his devotees.
Oh.
He has to get permission first.
Yes, Prabhu.
Like Krishna will go and they will do the Rajasura sacrifice. I in Mahabharata. So. The order of the Krishna, the Yudhishthira will sacrifice. Yudhishthira will do the Rajasura sacrifice.
This is before Krishna goes to the Rajasura Yajna, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think also he has to do some other things before he goes to the Rajasuya sacrifice. I think not only does he have to get permission, he has to also do other things. I don't know.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, next Uddhava will speak something. Okay, tomorrow we continue from that part. Ibo.
Able.
Okay, let's read the six Astakam prayer.
Okay, able.
We will start.
Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavama davagni nirvapana Shreya kaya vachandrika vitarnam vidyavatu jivanam Anandam Putivardhanam Putiputam Purnamrita Swadana Sarvapmasna Param Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana.
नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमिता स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवम् ईदृशमिह जानिनानुरागः
Pranadapi sunicena tarorapi saishvana manadena kirtneya dari.
Najanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitava Jagadesh Mama Jamani Jamani Sware Bhavita Bhaktya Haritaki Twaye.
अयि नन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितां मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजास्तिदधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तया
Next,
Nam Gada Shudaraya Vadanam Gadgadaya Gira Ulakayanitam Mukukada Tamunam Gane Bhavishati.
Yugaitam Nameshena Sakshishapa Visayitam Sunyaitam Jagasarvam Govinda Virename.
श्लिष्य वा पातरतं पिनष्टु मामदर्शनान्मर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विधाता तुलं पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh
My
my.
Lord,
Okay, please
Able.
continue.
Oh, my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings. In death, you have hundreds of medicine names like Krishna and Govinda. And these transcendental names to invested all your transcendental journeys, and not even hard and fast rules to chant these names. Oh, my Lord, I have your kindness to enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, for I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction from.
When chanting the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of and would be ready to offer all to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharashnanda Krishna, I'm your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I'm falling to this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me in the wonder arms of your Holy feet.
Oh my Lord, when will my voice be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up When will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Oh, Govinda, finger separation. I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is free to do anything and everything. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Haribol, Sri Chiksastakam ki jai. Headed
Jai.
the holy name. Friends, to bless them, the devotees,
But
and the Lord.
second offense to consider the chanting like what is it? To blaspheme. No. To consider the names of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva to be an equal or independent to the name of the Lord.
Commit
Uh,
to consider
third offense. Third offense to considering names. So third offense to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and to consider him as an ordinary person.
Haribol.
Fourth offense to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or the scriptures with the perseverance with the Vedic version.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna to be imagination, the glory.
Sixth offense to give mundane interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the center of the holy name.
To consider chanting of Hare Krishna to be one of the auspicious ritualistic activities mentioned in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name of the Lord.
Tenth offense, not have complete faith on the holy name of the Lord. Complete faith on the holy name of the Lord. And increasing the material attachment, even after understanding so many instruction on this matter. Chanting in it, when chanting inattentive, like it comes like that, no? Not a complete faith in the holy name and to maintain material attachment, and even after knowing so many instruction on this matter, inattentive while chanting.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Many instructions on this matter. It is what is it, bro? It is also an offense to be inattentive. Okay. While chanting, while chanting attentively, inattentive while chanting. Okay. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Krishna.
Krishna prema. Prema. Bro.
Yasya. Vaishnaveभ्यो नमो नमः आनंद गोदे वैष्णव
Thank you for your association. Haribol. Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Antarix Prabhu, for reading so much. It was really nice.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm so very happy